Hi everybody, this is Professor Sarah Rankin. I'm in the Faculty of Medicine at Imperial. And excuse me, but I've got a really bad cold. So I'm talking about the MSc Bioscience Futures, which is our exciting new innovative course. And joining me today is Anne Gaffney. Well, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Anne, over to you. Hello, yes, I'm also in the Faculty of Medicine. I'm a colleague of Sarah's and I'm the co-director of this new MSc programme.
And I'm Vera Magdalena Musavi. I'm a Director of Industrial Partnerships and Commercialization at Imperial Enterprise, and I helped co-create this programme and will also be leading a module on it. Over to you, Sarah. I can start with the slides. You're on mute, I think, Sarah.
So next slide. This slide.
Yeah.
Right. So this is, as I said, it's a new course, so we haven't run it before. It will be starting late September 2024 and runs for a whole year. Fees are standard for home and overseas students. And this year we're aiming for 24 students to join us. So it will be a relatively small cohort compared with some of our other MScs. And we hope to get a sort of split, roughly 14 UK students, 10 international. I've put a couple of links there for some of the scholarships that are available from Imperial, but please have a look around. There's plenty of scholarships available from many different sources. Just to say, this is a slightly different interview process. So people that fulfill the sort of basic criteria that we're looking for will be invited for interview. We will, prior to the interview, we will send them a bioscience paper, and we're asking you to create a 3-minute presentation, or it could be it could be of varying format. And would like you to summarize the main findings and propose one potential novel sort of application of that biotechnology. And all interviews will only last for 10 minutes and they will be carried out on Microsoft Teams. So, and just to say, we are designing this, hope to design this course to be as inclusive as possible. So please ask for reasonable adjustments in the interview process. So, who's the course for? Well, individuals with a 2-1 degree in biosciences are our basic students that we would expect to apply. So these you might have biomedical sciences, immunology, neurosciences, etc. And you might have just come out of that degree, be completing it this year, or you might be a mature student. So very open to mature students as well. And indeed, this is a little known fact, but if you have somebody, for example, that has done an apprenticeship and been working in the bioscience industry, and you can convince me you have equivalent experience and you're sort of at BSc level, then you also could be eligible for a place on this course. So we're really looking for people that have got that sort of passion for biosciences, but they've decided that they don't want to work in a lab as a scientific researcher. So they don't want to become an academic or work in sort of big pharma or something as a sort of lab scientist. So we're hoping these people are going to be sort of creative and innovative. They're people that can work effectively in a team and independently. And we're looking for people with a growth mindset. So interested in learning essential career skills, as well as furthering their knowledge of and expertise in the biosciences. So we're really hoping to recruit a really diverse group of individuals. Thank you. This just shows the basic structure of our masters. This is just put in a very simple way. So if we look from left to right, we've got in blue term 1, then green is the spring term, and then in purple we've got the next the rest of the year, which is the placement. So if I start with the blue module, and I think this is where maybe Vera and Anne could say something about the first module.
Thank you, Sarah. I don't know, Anne, do you want to open? So the concept of the modules, the innovation commercialization in particular, is to sort of give you an overview of the ecosystem that healthcare innovation exists in, but really trying to kind of introduce the concepts from basic research through to the commercialization within a concept of working within a university, and more broadly, the various elements that fall into this, which includes understanding how research is funded, how it's translated, different types of intellectual property rights that are developed, and how this is then applied in terms of commercialization, and also thinking about some of the more novel concepts around this space, which is around using patient data, how that is commercialized, and broader concepts around that. I don't know if you want to add something to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And how you put value on novel ideas, quite a big amount on how you protect it intellectually. Again, how you work through how you develop a commercialization strategy. Each of the weeks is divided into one of those particular topics, and so each week of the 4 teaching weeks in that module will focus on one topic in particular.
And we hope that at the end of the 4 weeks, the sort of final week, you synthesize all the knowledge together into sort of a project, exciting project, which could be assessing an opportunity, or it can be you presenting an opportunity idea or valuation, or you can judge others' ideas. So it's kind of quite flexible and open. The idea is to attract and recruit people who are interested in the space of sort of in between your basic research and then the world of commercialization or real world impact. That have an interest in sort of scientific grounding, but also a broad interest in the sort of the process of commercialization. Did you want to say anything about module 3 at all at the moment, or are we still developing it?
Yeah. Okay, so then I won't go into so much detail with all the other modules, but essentially we've got one on communication, because communication is central to any career that you have, whether it is in the sort of innovation commercialization or entrepreneurship, or communication for communication's sake, as a science communicator, as somebody interested in science policy, for example. And so we will examine all sort of aspects of science communication and all different sort of modes of science communication, and really try and drill down into what the most effective modes are, dependent on what the audience that you're engaging with and maybe the outcome that you're looking for. Ideation and entrepreneurship module is what it says. This is where we really sort of try and get into sort of thinking about design thinking, systems thinking. How do you ideate? How do you evaluate what's a good idea or not a good idea, etc. And then in the second term, we get on to 2 small modules, one which is about looking really at how we assess sustainability and the ethical aspects of a business, because I think for all of us this is something we are looking at much more closely, and is going to become much more important as we move on. And so we're really doing a deep dive into what does it mean to be sustainable in every aspect of developing that business, and also from the ethical side, whether the business is ethical, but also whether your sort of work practices. So if you are an entrepreneur, you're setting up your own business, you have to think about what environment do you want to create, and is it an ethical, is it an inclusive environment? Likewise, if you're going to be joining a new business or whatever institute, you'd be thinking about, does it align with your values in terms of sustainability and ethics? Entrepreneurship in practice is the real sort of meaty one where you're in groups, and this is where you're sort of you're doing the whole process from ideation to market research to developing business models, etc., all the way through to Dragon's Den. So you can sort of understand what the process of entrepreneurship really looks like. And then Bioscience Foresight is where we're really thinking into the future. So what are those sort of new technologies, artificial intelligence and big data at the moment, how we're going to apply them to all the potential applications in the future. Maybe someone else can just speak to the workplace modules.
Would you like to take that?
If
you go on to next slide.
So the next one, work placement.
Okay, so the work placement module will basically be working in a company, in a startup in Imperial, with Vera in innovations in her space. We will help you find these projects, but we will strongly encourage you to seek your own projects. But obviously, we will help you very much in that process. And you'll be based with, I mean, maybe you can speak, Vera, from your experience.
So we run in my team and across Imperial Enterprise, we run a number of opportunities to get involved with the process of entrepreneurship within a university setting. That can be anything from working within the technology transfer team, which is really focused on development of IP and strategizing around how we can better develop and strategically align what we want to do commercially with the research strategy within the university. We also have more interactive business development type roles where people can take an active role working with various partners. Imperial has a very large portfolio of industrial partners, so there's an opportunity to kind of identify those new ones or build new relationships, and then working very closely with the entrepreneurship team in around maybe conceptually developing new programs or thinking about new ideas. So the placements tend to really just become part of the team. So we've run these for about 5 years now very successfully. There's a growing appetite to get involved with this space, which is very science-based, but also it's introducing you to a completely different world of science and business, or the business of science, which is a growing field in terms of careers. And it really gives you insight around being an entrepreneur, evaluating entrepreneurs as well, as understandings what goes into sort of building a viable, sustainable business. I just wanted to add another point around the Bioscience Foresight, and Sarah was touched upon about technologies that are here today and what will they do in the future, but it's also thinking about, you know, the known unknowns, but also unknown unknowns. So challenging your students to really think about what will be those big problems in 20 years' time. The ambition of this course is very much to create future-proof the careers of those who do this. There's going to be careers that we don't even know will exist, so it's really to allow you and structure your thinking in a way that you can apply your knowledge in very broad different ways that we might not even be able to predict at the moment. And that's where the work placement module comes in, whether you can make a choice as to where you want to join.
Great, thank
Sarah.
you. So next slide.
I'm trying to, oh, yep. There we are.
Okay, so this is just off the website, and I think this just gives you the brief sort of overview. One thing I would say that yes, it's going to be very collaborative. A lot of the work that you do, we're trying to create the environment and situations where sort of that align with what you will experience in the workplace. One of the things about coming to Imperial is that we have, you know, fantastic scientists here, but also incredible students. And so, sorry, somebody take over.
So I think it's the building on relationships that we have. So we have very strong relationships and growing relationships, particularly in the entrepreneurship space with our alumni. The alumni network is significant and very global. And the sort of next stage of where Imperial will enable you as part of this course to tap into that. So we are wanting to maximize the sort of the community that's already benefited from entrepreneurship within Imperial to contribute to this as well. I'll move on to the next slide, shall I? Anne, do you want to talk about that?
So we're going for a hybrid model where there'll be certain fixed days that are on campus. We will mainly be based in White City or Charing Cross for teaching. We are designing the course on Incendi, which is a digital platform which allows a blended learning. So there are little assignments you will do and work on before coming to class. And part of that pre-work will be mini lectures, podcasts, films that you'll work through with certain testing yourself, quizzes and puzzles, etc. And then you'll come in on the days that we've mentioned here, Monday, Tuesday and Thursday, and actually come together, work in teams, work through activities. So applying the knowledge that you've learned in the pre-work and developing all the time your entrepreneurial skills. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much.
Shall I move on, yeah?
Yeah. And just to say, with respect to the teaching, so it will be, you will be taught by academics that have real expertise in terms of bioscience technology or sort of know-how, and others will be people that are alumni or indeed academics that have spun out their own businesses or been involved in commercialization of their research. And so it's sort of real expertise. We also have a sort of really good network because we're working with the enterprise department. We have a really excellent network of external entrepreneurs, real entrepreneurs, and people that have a lot of experience in the bioscience industry. So could you explain the teaching?
So there'll be elements of written reports whereby you'll critically assess a commercialization strategy in the first module. There'll be group activities where you'll design an activity for a specific audience. So you're communicating complex bioscience ideas to non-scientists. There's another example of a concept map. So you'll concept map your own skills and strengths. There'll be lots of choice whereby you can choose how you'll create your presentation, particularly in the ethical and sustainability issues around that module. And then in the module, the Bioscience Foresight module, it's actually helping to develop a mini symposium. So you'll do everything from developing the symposium, looking for the ideas to present, writing your abstracts, presenting your posters, etc. So I think that covers the main way we're going to assess you in this fantastic new course.
Yeah, so a real sort of diversity. So we're hoping that, everybody can grow, so they can grow skills, things, and also hopefully it's not just all going to be written or all one sort of type of format for your assessments. Okay, next. This is the placement. We've already talked about that, but just to say that placement will be assessed with a collated journal log and a written report this time and a 10-minute presentation. And all the way through this MSc, we will build in reflective practice, and that is going to help you write that journal log. And this is sort of developing good habits for your future career and something that leaders do. So something we want to get you doing as future leaders. Next slide, please.
I think the next one is about sort of future career paths for graduates.
Yeah, so obviously there's a huge array because, as I said, this isn't something you want to do if you really want an academic career. These are for people that are looking, that really want a career in the biosciences, but maybe beyond sort of the scientific research. So you might become an entrepreneur. More likely you'll become an intrapreneur, which is somebody that uses entrepreneurial skills, but within a business. But you could end up working in a tech transfer office, in a new startup, biotech, science comms, and a whole array of things, as I've listed.
Well, I mean, as far as I understand, I think this is probably our last slide, and we can open things up to questions. I think we have a couple questions in the Q&A.
So I've answered one or two questions in the Q&A. We have a question asking about commercialization, entrepreneurship and innovation modules. make a case of eligibility for innovation or entrepreneurship MSc students. I feel that a business element is integrated into the course. So I'm not actually quite clear as to what that question is asking. Maybe somebody could, Paris could.
Sorry. So this is different to the business school. So this is not, this is really for people that are scientists that are interested in doing entrepreneurship. We're not going to be focusing on the sort of business side of it. So if you want the theory of entrepreneurship, and if you want to get into finances and business, that's in the business school.
Yeah,
okay.
And I just wanted to add to that you know, the innovation module in particular addresses the sort of business of science. So we do talk about sort of different players and the stakeholders, but we don't go into, you know, significant financial modeling. If you're interested in a space which is more around the financing of businesses, that's a slightly different thing. This is more about thought leadership and but understanding the underpinning structures that the stakeholders in this space, so you can converse with them, and sort of again, future forward thinking about what those careers might look like in 5 to 10 years time. So it's applying your knowledge, but there will be an element in the innovation module around modeling and valuation of technology.
Thank you, Vera. And we have a question from Rebecca asking, is it possible to get into medical affairs with this master's too? Or what other careers would this master's be useful in?
So hopefully we answered that to an extent in terms of the list of types of things that we think at the moment. You know, this is a new course, as Sarah pointed out. So we, you know, there's probably even more jobs that we haven't really thought about. But considering that it's giving the breadth of understanding, the translation and commercialization of technology, I don't see why not, why it wouldn't have a role in medical affairs, particularly if someone's interested in an element of influencing government policy and regulation. There's all sorts of things going on post-COVID in terms of ethical access to medicine on an international level, the transformation of how healthcare innovation works, sort of ethical considerations of that. So medical affairs, either within a company or maybe on a government level as well.
Thank you. We have a question about the application deadline. So the application deadline for all of our courses run at the National Heart and Lung Institute is usually the very, very latest date would be, I think it's the end of August. There are only 24 places available on the first year of this course, so we do expect it to be quite competitive. As you're on our mailing list, you'll be receiving consistent updates over the next few months as to when the applications open. So we hope to open them in early 2024. And then usually they remain open. We do advise any overseas students who are applying to apply quite early, because the visa process can take a significant amount of time. And unfortunately, this year there were 1 or 2 students who submitted their applications a little bit later in July and were unable to get their visas secured on time from their various home countries. So we really recommend, if you're an overseas applicant, that you submit your application by the very latest June, so that should you be successful and receive a place in this course, you have enough time to complete documentation and get your visa sorted. For home applicants, there is the opportunity to apply a little bit later, but again, we expect places to fill up quite quickly on this. So the earlier you apply, the better. So we have a question about the eligibility, the admission eligibility. Is it restricted only to science students, or can business backgrounds with an interest in bioforesight also be eligible?
I mean, I think it's more, it's the sort of interest sphere of what we're trying to teach is what I think absolutely that is, you know, eligibilities can be very, very broad. And I think as per Sarah's summary, you know, it's about then presenting the case that this is the right course for you. So I don't see that as a problem. I think it's encouraged. We want a diverse population of students.
Exactly. That applies to a lot of our courses at the National Heart and Lung Institute, that actually we find a diversity and variety in background can actually be quite a positive impact on the learning of other students. So we do encourage you to apply if you have this particular interest, but there will be, I suppose, in the application process, there will need to be, you know, a justification or a reasoning as to, you know, if this is slightly outside of your direct background. What is it that motivates you to be applying for this course and make you a good student for this course? So our next question is, are there any optional modules we can take?
So no, there aren't optional modules. So at the moment, there's a lot of variety within the modules, and a lot of options for students to sort of work on areas that interest them in particular. So at the moment, the modules are just as they are, and all students will be doing the same ones.
Thanks, Sarah. So the application process, do we apply with a personal statement, 2 references and a CV? Yes, that is the basis of every application for our master's courses. So the online application will be open, as I said, in early 2024. There's a lot of information available on the Faculty of Medicine website as to what is required for every application. And we do not review applications within the department, or they're not sent to us by the Faculty of Medicine admissions team until they have the personal statement, 2 references and a CV. So do ensure that you have those ready, and please do check with your referee before you submit their names, because it's an automated reference that goes through to them, reference check. So we have a few other questions that were submitted to us prior to the event. So I'm going to run through them. Some of them were likely answered throughout, but I will see what I can filter down. So we spoke before about medical affairs and the types of jobs after this master's. As we said, we think that this master's really positions people to a wide variety, some career futures that we haven't actually thought about ourselves, likely based on the dynamic delivery of the modules and the education that you'll receive. How many students will be in the cohort? So for this cohort, we're looking at starting with I think 24 or 25 students in the first year, and we really want to support a mix of educational backgrounds and diverse input. We do hope to expand the course in the future years. Are there some modules offered by the Imperial College Business School as part of this course? So there's no modules offered directly by the business school, but as we've indicated, we have a lot of collaboration with the Enterprise Lab and the Innovations team at and the Centre for Academic English at Imperial College, who will contribute to the development and delivery of a lot of our modules on the programme. What is the best type of experience applicants should have? I think, unless anybody wants to follow on from me, I think we've emphasized that, there's no specific experience here. We're looking for quite a range of diverse backgrounds and people who really have a motivation and interest in this area. Do Anne or Sarah want to elaborate on that at all?
I think that was well put, Rachel.
Okay. How long has this course been running for? So this is a new course. This is a brand new course, but while it's going to be its first year running, I would say that there's been years of input by our academics and our collaborators, and a lot of the management at the NHLI to develop this course and bring it up to the standard that it is. The National Heart and Lung Institute has a wide range of very, very successful courses. We work very closely with the Faculty of Medicine, the Digital Education Office, who develop and are highly experienced in rolling out virtual learning platforms, asynchronous and synchronous teaching. And we have all of these teams, the best in the business, as they say, working with us to develop this course. So we hope that it launches this year with great success, and we look to expand it and evolve it, of course, using the feedback from the first year of participants to enhance the course to the best that it can be. So another question about graduates, which we've looked at, and what professions and industry do graduates move into this course? Well, I think we will soon find out once our new intake become our alumni. And we hope to build a really good network and pathway of alumni so that people can do their work-based project placements with alumni, and we can see where people go with it. We really believe this course has great potential to open up a wide range of opportunities for our students in the future, and generate, with things evolving so quickly, we really think that there's an opportunity for new types of jobs, or what people originally called jobs, might be a completely different scope for what's out there. And we're really focused on having collaborative feedback from our students and inputs from our students and future alumni into this program, and how it evolves over time, and what type of learning and education needs to be rolled out over the future years.
And I'd just like to add that one thing that makes our course distinct is that we are developing it from sort of first principles. We are using all our sort of expertise, knowledge, and case studies of biosciences, and looking at them in the context of entrepreneurship or innovation, etc. And so this is not the same as other courses that are advertised, where it is maybe biosciences and entrepreneurship, where entrepreneurship is just provided by, for example, the business school, and it is a module that is sort of not integrated in the master's process. So that's where we are different.
Thanks, Sarah. We have one final question in the Q&A, and it's about future work following the MSc. So would this MSc lend itself to a future working in ethical, legal, and social policy research and or bioethics?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the key, I think, over many a team's call over the years when we were developing this course. I think we are very keen, all of us, that is sort of one of the directions to take, sort of influence policy, and then the future of the healthcare innovation space, which is changing. So I think, that's why we're slightly vague on the types of jobs, because we want them to be different and inclusive and broad, so we can sort of start changing the industry. From the inside.
Imperial has a new policy department, which is about training academics to interact with policymakers. And we are actually working with those policymakers and people with that experience to help develop the content with respect to policy, because that comes into the communications bit. So yes, absolutely. And personally, bioethics is an area that I am working in at the moment. So yes, most definitely, I think it is. You will get that sort of skill set as well from this course.
I think it's also just worth adding that although the course doesn't exist, some of the teaching has been developed out of existing teaching, which is why Vieira and I are sitting in lecture theatre today. So one of our existing NHLI masters has elements of this, and it's out of the engagement from students in that masters and the need that we've seen, that we've worked together again with Sarah. Also, she teaches on that masters to develop this new masters. So I mean, we have loads of experience of working together and developing, and we're passionate about it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Anne. We have one final question. Well, maybe not a final one other question. Are there any societies we can get involved in, or any social events within the student cohort?
Oh my gosh, so many. I have heard that Imperial has more clubs and societies than any other university, surprisingly. So there are a zillion clubs and societies you can get involved in.
Absolutely.
There's also, as each of our programs have class representatives nominated at the start of the year. Usually we have one or two. So they act as the student body representative for the student cohort to the program team, but also into the National Heart and Lung Institute and to wider postgraduate the graduate school within Imperial College. Often what we also do is suggest that one of these class reps become a social rep, and that they be responsible for organising social events. I think, in some of the discussions we've had in developing this course, we were thinking, we will leave it to this student body who will be innovative, entrepreneurial, and have a lot more different varieties and skill sets maybe than we do ourselves, or some of our other programs do, to come up with very innovative and unique social events that could be for the cohort themselves or for the wider NHLI student body. So there's a lot of potential available there, and we're always looking for new ideas. We also have a social media presence, and we're looking for people to get involved in that. So we have some students take that up on behalf of each class and do takeovers and things like that, which groups get involved in, and developing videos for our platforms. So there's a lot of ways to get involved in the student cohort and the wider Imperial College student cohort as well. Also, just to add that usually on Wednesday afternoons, our teaching finishes a bit early so that people can go off and join their sports clubs and other society events that they're running, that they are part of. So we do make that a priority for all of our students as well. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you all. I was just going to see if there are any other final questions before we close the session.
Don't think so.
So thank you for attending. Sorry for my coughing all the way through that.
Thank you. We hope to see you next year.
We hope to see you next
definitely.
year. By being on this call, we have it means you have registered your interest for being on our program list. We hope to update with you with events related to this course, and also to keep you, as the first people on the course on the list. You'll probably be the first people to know that our applications are open in 2024, and the course email will be available for you to contact with any questions you might have about the course or about the application process. And we look forward to receiving your applications and welcoming you to the course in 2024.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.